beer to a bright tank, which is where we store beer and mess with it until time to take it. On its way to a bright tank, or excuse me, once beer is in a bright tank, we are going to force, totally out of order. On its way to a bright tank, we need to pass through our centrifuge. This tiny little guy, just look at the size of that versus the size of that. Like, come on. This tiny little guy works overtime to spin beer through the 4 layers inside of it to basically clarify all of our beer. Okay? A lot of places use a plate and frame, which is basically passing beer down a liquid conveyor belt, so to speak, and big, huge plastic fingers are going to catch contaminants, which clarifies your beer. We just think it's easier, more efficient, faster, and honestly more fun. Let's just spin that shit. Spin it real fast. In fact, this thing spins it anywhere up to 4,800 RPMs. I don't know if anybody's in a science major or anything like that. That's very, very fast spinning. Okay? Try to do that. Think of like that ride at Elitch Gardens or any Six Flags where you're taped to the wall and it spins you around. Yeah, you are the solid matter. And that solid matter is getting stuck to the wall. And in the middle of it, we're just gonna drop our beer down, okay? That beer is gonna end up much clearer, free of contaminants in a bright tank, okay? Every liquid ounce of beer that we produce in this facility goes through that centrifuge, but it will go through it at varying speeds and for varying lengths of time, depending on our recipe. Cool. We like to call White Rascal an unfiltered Belgian white ale. It still passes through here, but so briefly that we can call it a filter because there's haze and there's contaminants, and we like that in our beer. Cool? Word. Next up, when our beer is in a bright tank, and these are all bright tanks along the wall. A bright tank is anything that you have a flat bottom to because you don't need any yeast collection on top. Okay? But we're going to use Bubbles. Bubbles is this shiny gray machine with blue caps hanging off the end that we are going to use as a carbonation unit. It's a forced carbonation unit and adjunct cannon. Okay? So, we're going to force carbonate all of our beer to the desired mouthfeel, and every beer is going to have a different carbonation level. Sweet. We're also going to hook up these red tubes that you can see all over the floor from Bubbles to a bright tank to a vat, usually of raspberry puree for our raspberry sour, or passion fruit puree for our Lillicoy Capolo. The list goes on and on. But those are the main ones that always come to mind. This is the main stage where we are going to add flavor. After fermentation, because if you're adding more sugar during fermentation, yeast is going to eat that sugar, and probably you'll end up with a higher gravity beer than you want. So you want to add those flavors after fermentation. Like I said, 3-day mandatory hold. When the lab thinks that fermentation, flavor, mouthfeel, everything's been done, we're going to test the living daylights out of it and make sure it's top-notch before it ever goes in your mouth. Sweet. Our packaging line is crazy. Cool. It's awesome. We are going to go via bright tanks all along this whole room with these giant tubes right here, and we are going to go to our packaging team with the same brand in 3 different packages. If we want, we can do keg, bottle, and can of the same thing all at once, or we can can White Rascal, keg IPA, and bottle our newest Gold Foil all at the same time. Every time I say that, and I have a packaging person on my tour, they say, "Shut up, Nate, that sounds like a terrible day. Awful day." But basically, our canning line is amazing. We're gonna use our depalletizer on the far end of that far catwalk to lift cans up and bring them this way on that conveyor belt, about 20 cans to a side at a time. We're then going to twist it to the right until they are 1 can at a time. And you see where that drops down diagonally and it looks like a twisting mechanism? That's exactly what it does. It's going to twist the can sideways, and we are going to hit it with a very, very fast air rinse. That clears any contaminants right out. Then we load it into a circular 28 can at a time filling station, and we fill from the bottom up with a very, very high pressure. Then we're immediately twisting the can while having that little base layer so that no beer is falling out. We're going to hit it with a quick CO2 purge, clearing oxygen out and hitting it with the CO2 that we want before we hit it with a double seam cap. No oxygen is getting in that bad boy until you pop that top. Word. I need about a 2-minute break from speaking